Hello everybody, my name is Farmer Phil and today is the day of the farm walk. So we're just ready. They're just parking up the last tractor out of the way. The first two cars are after arriving there now, so we may get to it and get ready. Our Tagus advisor is here, Shane Devaney. He's going to do a bit on grass, and then my girlfriend's going to do all the videoing. And I'll edit this down and try and keep it 2 point and whatnot. So we're pretty much ready to go now, so we'll just wait and see how many people turn up now. That's all we have to do. So I will leave it at that for now and we'll get into the rest of the video. Right, we're going to get started now. Stop. So, I'll hand it down to leaflet here. This is Shane Devaney, a Tagus advisor. He's going to do a bit on our ration and our grass system and our pallets and that. And he's a hand up as well. Whatever. So, my name is Philip Stewart. Some of you may know me better as Farmer Phil on YouTube. We run a dairy calf beef farm. We grow tillage to feed our own cattle, about 190 acres of tillage, divided between dry grain, whole crop and crib. We rear about 400 calves every year, and we're also contractors as well. Do all the silage, pits, dung, bales, slurry, grain rolling, nearly everything. So the leaflet I handed out is all to do with our dairy calf to beef. It's all to do with statistics from the farm over the years and looking at different things. We'll talk about that when we get down and we're looking at the cattle. So what do you want to start?
Well, just basically, I suppose I'm dealing with Philip for the last 4 years. Philip, he's a pretty young trained farmer. Where did you go to college down?
Virgin
College, okay. So he got your herd number 2016. So he started off his own bit of ground and he's farming that the last few years. And this year he's asked into a partnership with his father Derek and his uncle Ian. So the three of them in the partnership this year. So on that there is about 100 and I think 80, nearly 90 hectares.
We'll have it here, 180 hectares roughly.
Okay. So on that, on the grassland side of things, which I'd be more familiar with, and there have to do with finishing cattle, there's about 122 hectares. Stock rate for the farm on that is 2.5 livestock units per hectare. Now, you know, if you're into livestock units or not, that's fairly high. So the system here has been pushed. Can't really push it up, but we could go a little bit more on it, but it's been pushed very high now at the moment. So the partnership this year has been set up. Right, when I see it, Philip has a big input into that, which is great to see a young farmer doing that, you know. And Derek and Ian seem to work very, very well with him. Now it seems to be a whole family set up, and you have Lynn here as well. She's involved, and then you have your mother's involved, so yeah. It's all hands on deck here. Look, go through what you're doing, you're busy. Tell them what you're out to do. Contracting and all of that.
Contracting, we spend a lot of time off farm, particularly during the spring when we'll be away with our umbilical system. We spend the whole from the minute it opens till middle of February, end of February, March. It all depends on the year. We go down as far as Moat, spreading for big dairy farms down there, and we go across as far as Bridewell and Toppin-Connell, spreading slurry. We cover a lot of ground. We spread with the umbilical system about 6 million gallons in the spring. And we try at the start of the year, we try and aim to spread 1 million gallons a week to get through the work. That's probably our biggest area, the contracting. We also have tankers as well for during the summer, and then we do pit silage as well, not as much as we used to, about 1,000 acres, and we do a good bit of baling as well. And then we also have a grain roller, which we go on the country off all over the place, rolling grain out in Mullingar and everywhere. It also does all our own work. And part of the, because we have all of our own machinery, we do all of our own work ourselves. We don't have to hire in anyone to do any work for ourselves. We all do it ourselves, so we keep ourselves very busy here.
Just if you look around the yard, the nothing fancy around here. You can see the sheds, they're very old. The machinery and all of that, so there's nothing major investment in that, which is probably a good sign to see. So the fixed cost of the farm here would be quite low. I suppose the biggest investment in the last year or two was your automatic milk feeders.
The calf feeders.
You see them as you go around.
Brought out a station and one of the feeders there just to have a look at and talk a bit about.
So any here doing dairy calf to beef? Any hand uppers or any of that? for yourselves here this doing. Just on your system, you were doing mainly finishing bulls and heifers, so now I think you're split the bulls every month, 24 months, heifers every killed at what age roughly?
About 24, 25 months.
And then now you're going to split between bulls and steers, and then they still have the heifer system as well.
Yeah.
So look, it's been a difficult year, as you know yourselves, so you get start moving on that, especially on the dairy side of things. Look, you're sort of getting your price taken early, so it's very, very hard in that market. But as you see you go around, one thing about Philip, he's very good at his figures and his costs. And you know exactly what his cost to feed his animals per day. So we go through that in a later one, you know. And you're looking at the more confidence what they will through that system. All their own grain, what they're feeding them is produced in their own farm, with the exception of you're buying in a balancer from Kieran and Millen, and then have this biscuit meal behind us as well. So we'll go through a little bit on that as well. So what I might do is, a little bit on, I just do a small bit of grassland, okay? Philip starts measuring grass this year. He's actually in a grass group that I run here in Lawford, sort of the last couple of years. Hard to get dry stock guys to go measuring grass. Because look, the money is tight. You get fellas going measuring every week. They don't see a lot of value in it. But Philip, who goes through what he got out at a high stock rate, definitely there's more to get out of measuring grass. Making the decisions of when to take out paddocks for silage, when to apply fertilizer, all of that. So I just might give a hand out there.
Yeah.
So anyways, we're going to go through why Philip is measuring grass, what to get down to do it. Now pasture based the programme, and you'll see in that handout, there's a map of the farm if you look through it. I think it's on the, if you open it up, you can see the map of the farm. And see it's all paddock out there. Okay? So I know when Philip and Derek and Ian, they're doing the paddocks, you might have temporary fences up there.
Yeah.
They'll be moving their fences, there wouldn't be permanent fences up in the farm. Whereas paddock out there over just 25.8 hectares on that map of ground that you look at. So you might go through in your paddocks, how often you're moving them, why you're moving them, what you get out. What you get out of your pasture. Just give a little bit of the background there.
So what we do when we start getting calves that are ready to come off the feeder, we batch them up as they're coming off, we put them out on the paddocks, and a lot of the paddocks that you've seen there, we split them again. So next year something I have to do is go on that map and divide up the paddocks. But anyways, we'll put a batch of 40, 50 calves together, we'll put them out on a paddock, a temporary fence, and they'll be there for a week, roughly speaking, till they have it fairly tight, and we move them on. And we keep doing that as batches of calves come off, we keep taking them out and moving them onto the farm. Also, we generally keep about 50 bulls grazing the home farm as well. And we rotate them around, normally the other side of the river, so I work from one end of the farm down into the yard and back out again. And the calves then we work on the other paddocks. Normally speaking, some of the larger paddocks there, we're able to divide them into three, and a batch of calves starts off at one end, into the middle, to the far end, and then back to the start. And we do that for 2 months, 3 months roughly. It all depends on how we're getting on with grass at home and how our out farms are doing. And we'll take out once the calves. Once we start getting tight of grass here, we'll take the calves out and we'll move them to off farms. Once we're happy with them and everything's going okay, we'll take them to out farms where some of the out farms we do paddock grass, some of them we don't paddock grass. It varies. A lot of our land is fragmented. There's a tight 100, there's just over 100 acres here between the tillage, which is up behind us, and the grassland, which is on the bottoms, as we call it, which is all very wet land and generally floods. And so yeah.
Is there anybody here doing paddocks? Get up measuring grass. Paddocks, hands up, doing paddocks on the farms. And a paddock could be doing it every week, every 3 days. We one with a hand up, that is. Okay. How do you find doing paddocks yourself?
We're dairy.
You're a dairy man. So why would a dairy man do paddocks versus a beef man?
Almost get more out of the grass.
You get more out of the grass. Yeah, how often do you move your stock?
24 or 26 hours.
That's the way you do it in the dairy system. The reason you're doing that is you're growing more grass by doing that properly. Would that be right, sir? Right? And probably better quality grass as well. Yeah. And look at paddocks. You don't have to measure the grass doing paddocks. What we say is, anyone here is, take a block of land in the farm, maybe 10 or 20 acres, your dry stock guys, your polygonal highly stocked zone. Do a block of the farm, line it up, maybe you might only move them every week, then you might decide, as Bill mentioned here, this year you're going to make them divide them again. So then you move them every 3 or 4 days. And the advantage you do with that is, it's amazing what you can get out of a small block of land, especially if it's a good block of land. What you can get out of that, and the quality grass. Because in the system that the stewards run here, grass quality has to be very, very good to get weight on these cans. You're going to see them go around. But they have to get as much cheap weight as they can on them. And where is going to get money from grass? And then the rest in, finish it in the shed and try and get your ration as good and as cheap as you can get it. And look, we'll go into that in detail. But the grass, I suppose, it's a hard sell with a lot of people because they don't see the value of it, which is the cheapest feed out there. So you try to shorten the spell in the winter, get them out in the spring, and get them moving on grass as much as you can. So paddocks do play a little bit of a role in that. And actually, they're not labour intensive. People think they are. It's very smooth cattle. When you get used to being moved, usually down the fence, in most cases running from next week. So it will work very, very, very well down there. Can't get trained into doing it. Now, on the pasture-based side of things, I suppose, it's for, we'll call it more for the honour student, I suppose, for the people that will be higher stocked. And for Philip here, you see a map at the back. It's a very bad, isn't it? Oh, that's right. It's the third page in the back. It's this one here. This one in here. Right. See that page? That's the one. Yeah, see that page? So give there. That tells them this. See all the green lines? Just give you a rough idea of how it works in pasture bits. Each of them green lines is a paddock. There's a number at the bottom. Do you see that? So he's able to learn by looking at that. The yellow is where those silage taken out, and anything green is all where it's been grazed. You can see some paddocks with silage taken out, and some just grazing all year. What that tells the stewards here is which paddocks are performing the better. So the higher the graph, you see there's a sort of a descending order, they grew the most grass. So on the best paddock here, they grew, they already see 12,000, that's 12 tons of grass per hectare, which is very, very good. And on the worst performing paddock, you're back down maybe around, look, there's one there beside the house, I think it's only a bit of a garden, it's very, very low. But the next one after that, you're looking around 3 tons. So there's a huge variation in what his paddocks have grown, and by looking at that, he can tell exactly, he can see there's a problem on some of the paddocks. So whether it's a fertility problem, or whether it's a problem when he's going to sort out receiving, you'll have to make a decision on that down the line. That's telling them some paddocks are performing very good, some aren't. Average amount of grass grown on the farm this year was, you see the one very far line out on the right, was about 8, nearly up around 9 tons. Which, for a guy starting off measuring grass, it's excellent. If some guys growing, when you look at dairy guys, which could be growing 15, 16, 17 tons of grass per hectare. Which would be, you know, but they're at a very, very high stock rate. But that's the advantage of, I suppose, Philip using the pasture base here. He's able to identify we can get more out of some of the other paddocks. So it gives them a bit of feedback. So you need the information to be able to make these decisions. That's what it does for him. Now, from a time point of view, measuring grass, how often do you measure grass?
Every week. Every Sunday, me and my girlfriend will go walk the dog and we'll do a full loop of the farm, measure the grass. And it's not hungry. We do the jobs on a Sunday and then go measure the grass. You're back in before dinner.
How long does it take to do it?
20 minutes does the loop.
Does the loop?
Yeah.
How do you measure?
I have a measuring stick, and just as you walk across the field, just stop, put down, just write down, and then keep doing that, and drop it 4, 5, 6 times while you're walking across the field, and get the average height, and record that. Then you put it into pasture base online, and then it tells you, based on what you've already put in the area of the ground, it'll tell you how much grass is available, and what else does it tell you?
Tells you basically, you can see the very front page, you give you what the growth rate is for the year, I think. And then it gives your demand, what you need to for your stock, and gives you how much you're growing. You see the demand there per hectares per day is 29, and the actual growth is 53. So back in September, he's growing a lot more than what he needed. So it gives him and it helps to make decisions. If you want to take paddocks out of the silage, you can do it. And the advantage of that is you take a paddock out of the silage, it's top quality stuff, which is very important for the dry stock on a farm. For good non good weight. It's a cheap way of doing it. So look at, it's not for everyone, I understand that, but for the people who do it and at high stocking rates, definitely it is a handy tool to have. And you need to be into it, and Philip, in fairness, to be into doing that. So he's quite happy with it. But I would advise anyone, if you don't even do pasture against your paddocks, the great thing to do is when grass grows, just walk the farm every week. The maize when grass starts growing in May and June, you think you're short of grass one day, next thing is gone the other day. So someone said to me, walk the farm once a week. Just do that. And you'll be surprised then. You better make that decision. And you train your eye in after a while when you're measuring grass.
Yeah.
So you get a rough idea.
Yeah.
Some people might only go to the well. Eat down to the top of the toe, you eat up to the heel. Or you want to go into a height around the heel. So you're eating down to around there, and you go to a height around the heel. If you can roughly get that, that's all you want. Anything stronger than that grass is getting too strong, quality starts to deteriorate. We'd say in that scenario, put it into silage. But simple, not getting too caught up in it. For yourselves, just think of that. Eat down to the toe, and go into a height around the well. That's all. And walk it once a week, just to see what you go. Okay? So you want to...
Yeah, so while we're here now, I just do a bit on what's behind us, the meal we're feeding at the minute. So on this side, you may be able to smell it. You can come in and have a look at it if you want. We'll be doing a look for the farm, and we'll be coming back here for tea, coffee, sandwiches and cake and stuff afterwards. But so this is what we call biscuit meal. This come out of Manchester, out of the Sugar Rich plant. We get it off a third party in, I think it's either Waterford or Wexford, Millstream Recycling. And you can smell it there. You can go and pick up a bit if you want. It's nearly pure chocolate. You can smell it. It nearly melts in your mouth. And that stuff is ferocious for putting fat on cattle. Absolutely ferocious. You only feed very little of it. It's 2 kilos a day. You don't feed any more than that because you will sicken cattle if you do feed them too much of it. It's working out at under €200 a tonne delivered in the yard. It arrives in bulk. If anyone wants to get some, you'll have to get in contact with them. But to our understanding, you get a full Arctic load and it's tipped in the yard and you do whatever you want with it after. But it is ferocious stuff. Just on the leaflet here, if you go to the 3rd page, the 2016 versus 2017. Yeah, on my leaflet now, sorry. I don't think there might be enough there for everyone. So if you have two, if you're with a party and you have more than one, hand it to someone who doesn't, just so everyone can have a look at it. So on the 3rd page, 2016 versus 17, if you look at her Jersey, JEX, FRX and FR bulls, you'll see the fat scores all went up. We averaged across the Frisian jerseys and Frisian crosses, we brought up our fat scores from a 2- to a 2+. On average between 16 and 17. And the only difference between the 2 years was in 17 we started feeding that. And ever since we started feeding that, our fat scores have gone way up. We had last year, we had bulls killing up on 4- as Frisian bulls. You couldn't ask for any better. There's a bit then at the bottom of that then increased where's the fat scores, where did I say it? Fat scores increased due to feeding of biscuit meal. But that's fantastic stuff, couldn't recommend it enough if you're at finishing cattle.
You just feed it straight as there.
You put it in too.
Yeah, we mix, everything gets mixed through the diet feeder, and depending on what we're feeding, so the bulls are getting a different ration than the bullocks are and the heifers are, but it's 2 kilos of that. It's 2 kilos of our balancer ration, which is behind you there, and 2 kilos of our barley and oats mixed. So on the balancer then, that's coming out of Kieran Millen in Ballinallee, isn't it?
Kieran Millen is up in
Granard is anyways. Granard. It's coming out of there. It is a mix of maize, distillers, beet pulp and soya hulls, and it also has acid balancer in it, or an acid buffer in it, and I think there's minerals in it as well. So we're feeding that to balance out our diet to keep the thing right. And then behind that then we have our oats and barley mixed. So we mix it going through the mill as we were treating them with maximum, and the maximum increases the protein content of the grain and also increases the pH, because it is treating the grain with ammonia, and that brings up the pH, so it's another help to keeping the stomachs right so you won't sicken cattle. As a fact, we've never had an instance of acidosis or anything to do with an upset stomach while we've been feeding that. So yeah, it's mixed at about a third of oats and 2/3 barley. So we'll treat the full of the hay there, and it has to be covered then for 2 weeks, and then you're ready to feed away out of it. We still have about 40 or 50 tonne in the shed below where the mill is to be treated when that runs out, and then that is our mix, and the rest is out in the pit. But I suppose while we're here, we might as well look at the calf feeder while it's here. So we have 2 automatic calf feeders, both urban calf mums, bought through Volak. The 2 feeders both have 4 stations. I just brought out 1 station just to show you. The feeder they're selling at the minute is slightly different. Well, it's a good bit different than that. It's much more or better than this feeder. This is a fairly basic one. So the feeder, we feed 154 calves on one feeder in a shed over there, and that feeder fed 164 in a shed below. We'll have a look later. The feeders at their height, that feeder was putting out 1,000 litres of milk a day. The calves, when we get them, they go on to the feeder. We have a training pen. I'll show you all that when we get down there. But the feeder does everything. You register the calf. If the calf comes with the EID tag from birth, all you got to do is push in the calf and he's automatically registered, and he starts at day 1. The feeder then feeds them from day 0 to day 10 and brings them from 4.5 litres to 6 litres. And then from day 10 to day 44, he feeds them 6 litres. And then from 44 to 64, he winds them back from 6 litres down to 2 litres and off. And that is all changeable. You can change everything you want with it. You can set up as many different feeding programs. So if you put bulls and heifers in and you want to feed your heifers more, you can create a separate feeding program for them if you want to give them more, or you want to give them more powder per litre of milk. Everything to do with it, you can program on the machine. With the new machine now, they have a touchscreen yoke that comes out of the side. Some of you may have seen it at the ploughing, and it's much more user friendly. That is fairly basic now in what it can do, but it still does the job. Before we got the first feeder, it was taking me 4 hours twice a day to get round. I think we had 280 calves, and that was to get the milk into them, get the meal into them, get the water into them. When we put in the first feeder, we put 150 calves on, and we're still feeding the other calves with buckets. I was doing the same work in an hour and a half. And with the 2 feeders running and no calves on buckets, half an hour we have at 316 or 20 calves at one time. They'll be on the feeders. In half an hour I've all them checked. I can go around to both feeders. It'll tell me how all the calves are fed, how much milk they have left to drink. It'll alert me if the calf hasn't fed in a certain period of time, and all I have to do is check the screen. I check to see is there any numbers. If there's any numbers, I go into the shed, I find the calf, I see is he okay. If I need to, I put him in the feeder. If anything else is wrong, you look after him. But generally speaking, half an hour, I've all the calves taken care of on the farm, and I'm ready to go off and do whatever else. And check it twice a day. And at full tilt, it goes through 5 bags a day, and it'll hold 2. So really you need someone in the middle of the day to top it up when it's at full tilt. They recommend that the feeders will only feed about 120 to 140 calves. But we run the feeders, when I get down to the shed I'll be able to show you, but we run all the calves in one big group in the shed with access to the 4 stations. So that way we can put the maximum number of calves in the feeder, as there's 4 stations always there ready for the calves to feed. We leave a light on above the feeder so that the calves can feed 24 hours a day whenever they want. So there's no waiting, and you'll know if there's any hiccup where that's not working for an hour and you come in the morning, you'll know there's something wrong, because the calves will roar the place down. And other than that, the calves never make a noise. The calves feed themselves when they want to be fed, they go do whatever they want, they lie wherever they want, and we find it's the best way of rearing calves. When we were rearing buckets and when we started rearing on the feeders, the difference in the calves is just, you'd pick them out if you put them side by side. It does a fantastic job on the calves, but you do need to be there twice a day to make sure everything's okay, run through, make sure that everything is being fed and all of that. So
What's the cost?
the cost of that feeder is 15 grand. 15,000 with the 4 stations.
So running over your 150 calves in 1 year, that's €100 per calf.
Yeah.
That's what it works out. So looking after a few years, it would have itself well paid for.
Yeah.
The amount of time you're saving on labour
Is
massive.
huge.
And you're
Huge.
not doing you contract
Yeah.
jobs.
Like during the summer, when we're at our busiest, when you were getting into May and silage is starting to kick off, especially then in the spring as well when we're at the slurry, we need to be in the yard, get everything done and out the gate as quick as we can to get out and do something else. And ever since we got the feeders, it's just been an absolute one of the best things we've ever bought, between that and the Fusion.
In relation to calf health, that probably was a very good detection for you with calves when they're feeding it. But
Yeah.
your mortality rate is very low on the farm at the time.
Yeah.
So,
Because the first thing, before a calf is physically or visually sick, where his ears are down and he's not getting up, you'll be able to tell from that he's not feeding. And you'll be able to catch him before he is actually, that you'd see him visually be sick. And it's a great help for early detection on getting calves before they do get too bad. And yeah, if you're rearing calves and you're rearing a number of calves, it's an investment that's well worth making. Well worth making. So I think we'll head on down the yard now and we'll look at our crimped wheat, our whole crop and our silage, and then we'll head to the heifers and the bullocks. When you're going for crimp, you don't cut it right. Some people think that you can cut grain ripe and then crimp it. It never works that well when you do it that way. The right time to cut your crimp is when the grain is at a cheesy stage. When you can squish the grain in your hand but there's no juice. That's when the grain is ready to be crimped. And the process of crimping it then is fairly straightforward. We bring the mill into the field, we cut it straight with the combine into the mill, and we process it into trailers, bring it in and tip it. We put Agri King powder. It's the same stuff we put in the whole crop and silage for helping preserve it, and it's great feed. It's huge feed. We're feeding 2 kilos of that in our finishing ration for the bulls and bullocks. And one thing on sealing it, it needs to be very well sealed, because vermin absolutely love it and they will go to town. They literally, if a hole come in that, the crows would take every bit of plastic off it to get hard. That's why, well, it's not that well covered in sand, but that's why there's sand on it, because it's the best way of protecting it. But the sand, it sort of bites you when you go to take it off it, because you have to make sure to keep it cleared so you're not letting any of it mix in. But that's really it. It's great feed. And one of the big reasons why we do crimp is because we don't have enough storage to store all our dry grain long enough to be able to process it to feed it. And also we got badly stung in 2016 to the tillage crisis. That year we had 270 acres of tillage. We used to grow a lot of tillage and we used to process the grain and sell it to farmers in half-ton bags and in trailers, getting on fine. 2016 come round, and with the bad weather we lost, there were 60 acres wasn't harvested, and I'd say we only averaged about a ton to the acre, maybe a bit more, and only 3 or 4 bales of straw to the acre. Absolutely broke our hearts, and so that we're still struggling to get over financially. But anyways, because of that, we work on a process of, as we call it, damage limitation. So all our winter barley, which was grown in the fields behind us, that because it's cut early, you have a better chance we cut it the middle of July or beginning of July. We cut that, you have better, drier weather at that time of year, longer days, so you're able to get it drier, so we can get it in dry. It's easier to get safer, easier to get the straw. And we had our combine back in the shed the 4th of August, all cut, including that. And we were planning on cutting our winter wheat dry, but there was bad weather promised for the following week, and it wasn't ripe enough, so we decided we go and crimp it. And that's why we did go with the crimp. It's just to try and avoid what happened to us in 16, because we'll never forget it here. It's just to avoid that at all costs. That's why we crimped. And we lost 16 acres of straw. We never got bale. One of the things with crimp, you don't spray off your crop, so your straw is still a bit green when you cut it, and it's not fit to bale straight away, whereas with the barley that was sprayed off before it was cut, and we were baling the same day as we were cutting. But because of the crimpet's green, the straw is green, you have to rear it out like hay, and the weather, we just didn't get weather to get it after that, and it's just left in the field. We'll have to shake it out someday, and it'll make a good video anyway. So
just on that sort of on the, you open the pit and the extra heat from going off. Any issues that way, or?
It will, if you're not using it fairly quickly. If that was in a wider pit now, if that was in the other pit now, we probably wouldn't be using it quick enough to keep on top of it, because it will go off very quickly. You have to be fairly motoring through it. That's why the sandbags are along the top of the plastic, to try and stop the air going back underneath it, to keep it. It is something that you need to either have a short face that you're keeping it moved back, or be going through it fairly quick just to keep ahead of the heat.
How often do you go through a pinch of that now, or the face?
I'd say we're taking about 3 inches off it every day. We're going back about 3 inches into the pit. As we get further back, we won't be using as much because it's getting higher and we're getting the weights we need to go into the feeder. So if you have any questions on anything as we're walking through, please shout away.
It's very hard in the combine to separate grain that's high moisture.
It is and it isn't. We used to have a class dominator, an old one, and that used to break our hearts at crimp. There was cross augers in the grain tank, and he used to mush in between them and break our hearts. But we have a Massey Ferguson 38, 20-foot header, 6-straw walker, a big girl, and she's well able for it. Well able for it. It depends on the combine, really.
Have you any figures for growing your own barley and
Yes. The winter barley that was grown up there on our own land, excluding the diesel that we took on our own time to work, it cost us €53 a tonne to grow. That yielded 4.5 to 5 tonne an acre. As it stands, we had to put, one of the reasons it was so cheap, we had to put literally no fertiliser out in it, because most of our sheds are straw sheds and peat sheds, so nearly all our dung gets put out there, and because of that we don't need to put that much fertiliser on it, and that's why it was relatively cheap to grow. That's it. We move on to the whole crop. So this is our silage and whole crop pit. It's dual purpose. Mightn't be the best idea, but we are a bit tight for space. We started off, we put our first cut in that side, so underneath, so our first cut is about a third of the way up. What you can see there is our first cut going back in one half of the pit. Our second cut covers the whole pit, and we have whole crop then in this half of the pit. Also, the pit that's covered that isn't open yet, that's also full of whole crop. When we came to do our first cut, we were deciding where we go to put it. Do we put it in a bank at the back of the pit, or do we try and fit it in? We were thinking of putting it in the first pit, but we reckoned we'd too much and it'd go too high. So we decided to put it in there. So then we had too much whole crop to fit in the one pit. So we put half our whole crop in here, and there's a mixture of stuff in it. So you can see it in layers there. So you can see the top layer from there down to there. That's green wheat. So that was cut with the wheat being the grain that you could squish it and it was still milky, and the crop was still green. I did a video on it, some of you may have seen it, and that yielded, we had 19 load off 10 acres. One of the best crops we ever grew, and it is, we actually have it tested. Did you have the, I have it on my phone anyway. Yeah, so we did test the green wheat, and then under that it's a mixture of whole crop barley and whole crop wheat in different layers as we were cutting. It took us a week to put in all that whole crop. About, what's in this pit? There's about 60 acres in this pit and about 40 acres in the other pit. The other pit is oats, whole crop oats. And then this is wheat and barley mix. And we tested the green wheat and we tested the wheat and barley mix.
So here you go on the whole crop barley wheat. Dry matter 32% on it. Protein 9.5%, so not over high in protein. The starch is around 25% of that, and the energy is 10.53. Now, on the green wheat then, dry matter is a little bit lower, it's around 26. True protein again is a bit less, 8.5%. Starch there again 23.3. Energy value 10.18. So look at as a feed, as looking at figures on it, you'd be looking at compared to our grain like barley, wheat or maize like that. Energy value wouldn't be as high in that. Looking at energy value, but if you want to put weight in the cattle, it's higher and your biscuit bean and all of that. A lot better from an energy point of view. But this is, you can sort of more relative compare it back to silage. So you can in that. So we'll go around the shed. I'm going to go through the ration when we're looking at the bulls. We'll do a little bit more on it. But how come, just as yourselves, you go through the whole crop? What's your own thinking of doing the whole crop? Why are you doing it?
So one of the reasons why we do the whole crop, as I said earlier, it's to get our grain in. The whole crop doesn't have to be dry, doesn't have to be ripe. If it is ripe, we have a mill in our harvester, we can crack the grain. With the green wheat, we didn't have to do that because the grain is so soft, it'll digest no problem. If your crop is ripe, you need to mill it to flatten the grain so that it'll go through. We've always fed whole crop. It's better than feeding silage, and if you compare it to maize, I know maize is a much better feed, but maize is more expensive to grow, and maize, as everyone knows in this country, is very hit and miss whether you're going to get a good crop or not. You're going to get the weather to get it out, whereas that's a safer bet. We used to grow maize here. We've a maize head for the harvester, we've all the kit, we've a maize sower. We used to grow great crops of maize out them fields there, but in the last couple of years we couldn't rely on the weather to get a crop, and the cost of growing it is just too high and the risk is too high to grow it. So we go with whole crop as the base for the feed of our finishing cattle.
Anyone using that here? Anyone in that system? What are you doing that, no?
So one of the reasons why we put silage on top of it is whole crop, if it's cut dry, it can be hard to keep. It'll heat very easy if it's cut dry. And one of the things with the silage now, you may look at the second cut, it's not the best stuff. Every acre of it was cut in the wet. We run a vintage silage day, and we got the whole crop in grand. The weather was bad for the vintage silage day, so the layer above the whole crop wheat is all cut with single chops and double chops and precision chops. And then we finished off then the top of the pit. It was all cut wet. It was not ideal, but one of the things with having whole crop underneath, the runoff, the effluent off the silage runs down into the whole crop, and the whole crop absorbs it, soaks it practically all up, and it keeps a lot of the nutrients that would have been lost in the silage in the whole crop. It also helps preserve the whole crop on two fronts. The weight of the silage helps compact the whole crop, and then with the moisture, the runoff going into it, that also helps it ferment and ensile better. And also on the pit over there, we threw 4 loads of silage as well on top of that for the same reason. And another thing as well is to, same as the crimp, keep the vermin away from it. If the rats, particularly rats, if they get through the plastic into that, they'll just shred everything before them to get at it. They love it.
How do you manage that problem?
We put the silage on top.
Okay.
That's
And with your vermin over there, how do you manage it, or how do you work it?
with the crimp.
Yeah, and all of that.
Always in vermin control.
Yeah.
As it stands, you may see the dogs running around. They're probably our best source of getting rid of them. Dash, and we don't like to lay poison because we do have, we have seen barn owls here in the past, and we also have a lot of them, what do you call them? Pedigree or predatory birds. Peregrines and kestrels and that. There's a couple of them in now. We call it a valley. You mightn't say it's that big of a valley, but in this stretch of land going along the river, there is 4 or 5 or 6 of them you'll see from time to time. And because of that, we don't like laying poison. And look, they are a bit of a problem for us. But as I said, them lads on top of the pit, that's what they're looking for now. So
They do a fairly good job.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
they do the job. So that is it there. I suppose we can move on now and we look at our heifers. We've calves down there as well, and the shed where the calves are in is where one of our feeders is. These are our heifers here. Now they are very small. These heifers are last year's calves, so 18's calves. Because of their size, we're not finishing these yet. There's absolutely no point giving them a finishing diet because there's no size in them. We'll need to get them bigger to make it worthwhile. They're on a straw bed, and the feeding passage then we clean out every week or 2 weeks or that. Their diet is silage, straw, and a small nip of whole crop, just to give them a little bit of a boost to try and get them to grow a bit. Now, in that shed, it is nearly all Angus. There's 1 or 2 Herefords, and there's 3 or 4 Frisian heifers. And there might be a Jersey heifer in it as well. And if you're wondering why we have Frisian heifers and Jersey heifers, because of how we buy our calves, we buy calves off 10 farms, dairy farms we work for, some local, some down in Moat, and we work at that. We take all your calves, good, bad, and different. We drop the trailer, we take what's there, and we get any twin to bulls as a freebie, and that's why we have a few of them, so they don't stand us a whole lot. So just something now on the leaflet I handed out. If you go to, it is the 4th page, the comparison of performance of stock bull versus AI cattle. So these are looking at Angus calves from the dairy herd. So I did a comparison looking at a farm that we buy the Angus calves off that are bred off a good stock bull versus the other farms which are bred off the easy calf and AI bull. And you can see there, just if you look at, there's a bit of a table there of what the average to 16, but if you look at the bottom, for the stock bull in 2016's calves, we finished the stock bull's calves 1 month earlier than the AI calves. They averaged €53.32 more above the AI calves, and they were 15.34 kilos heavier than the AI calves. And in 17, the results were nearly the same. We finished a month earlier, €56.73 above the AI and 11.88 kilos heavier. If you look at the shed there, if you look at some of the tag numbers, any of the numbers that are 2000, they are from the stock bull. There's 16s and 12s, they're AI. And that is the difference. One of the problems is the dairy farmers tend to use the easy calving Angus bull, the easy calving Angus bull, and you just end up with, because it's easy calving, you just don't have the same size, you don't have the same frame as a good stock bull.
On your own frames, look, Animals is doing the best for you. Sort of Holstein frame, put the frame on. You don't want too much Holstein, you need a certain amount. And you have then your Angus, your Jersey cross coming with that as well.
Yeah.
But the frame goes a long way, you know. You need to have a good frame in an animal to get a bit of weight in it. So Holstein, to a certain extent, isn't a bad thing to have in an animal. And for your grades then, your grading reasonably good.
Oh, your grading reasonably good. What was it? We were grading on average an O+.
An O+.
An O+, 3- across the heifers and bullocks. That's what way after showing you there is between the heifers and the bullocks. We've bullocks are in that shed. We'll look at them when we're finished here.
So anything that's O equals up would be quality shortness. I think even now under since the protest, they changed it to the O- as well to get something. But usually anything O equals up, you get a 20% bonus. So look, if you're getting O equals O pluses, you're going to get a 20% bonus on top of all of it. Yeah. Just on that, you mentioned on the strong bull Philip versus the AI bulls. There's a thing out there now called the Dairy Beef Index. It's a new thing they're trying to promote with ICBF. So basically, if you're going to buy these type of calves, they're going to have a value on them, a euro value on them, what they potentially are worth. So that's based on the genetics of the bull they're out of. They're trying to say out of certain bulls, he'll have better calves and he'll get a higher value, euro value. Versus another bull, he'll be a lower value. So saying his calves won't be as good. But now, you're going to go through figures in a while. The problem with them figures is, the reliability is very, very low on them, and in your scenario, you can talk about it like we're on it, but while you go, what you got
Yeah.
now.
So if you go to the last
Can you
page,
show them that? I don't know if the,
Yeah.
look at my hand. This is on Phillips' hand out there.
Bertie, you have that.
On that hand out there, now, very back page.
So the very back page, I looked at the dairy sires from 2017's calves. So in total, there was 58 sires recorded on ICBF of all the cattle we killed of 17's calves, and I put down the top three number-wise. Frisian, I used the top three numbers, they're the most calves that were sired to them bulls down there, and I also put down an example of a high DBI Angus bull. So you can see there was WLY, which was a Frisian bull, LWR, HCB, which was a 100% Holstein bull, and you had KYA, which was the Angus bull. The KYA DBI score was plus 84. The HCB, which is the 100% Holstein, was plus 7. The LWR, which is 75% Holstein, 25%, I presume FR means British Frisian, was minus 5, and WLY was minus 13, and it was 62 to 37% Holstein Frisian. And of them 4 cattle that I'm looking at there, HCB was the best of the 4 sires, achieving an average price of €170 above the worst, which was KYA. The Angus bull that they're saying is a plus 84 on the Dairy Beef Index.
So they're saying a plus 84, his calves versus that bull at plus 7. That they'll be 77 euros, you're better off by 77 euros on average by using that bull. But on your figures, you found the big opposite.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with them figures, the reliability isn't high enough for them. But they're hoping in time the information in that is going to get more reliable. So when you go to your farmer or you go to your mart, this figure's put up on the board or wherever it is, you can sort of say in confidence, well, I have a better chance of that calf performing better for me versus the calf, the bull with the lower value. But look, on this farm, that's not the case.
And one of the things just to take in consideration with all these statistics, I just said at the bottom of that page, that relatively speaking, the numbers are small in the grand scheme of things. So it is to take with a pinch of salt. This is just the statistics on this farm. It mightn't be the same on every farm, and it's definitely not the same on the ICBF website. But
it's good information to have now. Look,
Yeah.
he's a lot of, Philip and Thursby collects a lot of information, there's a lot of stats. And to me, that is very, very useful information. And if you come back to your farmers next year and knowing what calves you want, you
Yeah.
know better
Yeah.
which calves will perform better for them and what sires come out with. So look, that is a huge asset to you
Yeah.
going forward.
And it's something historically we've always said that KYA was never the best calf to buy. One of the things I think why he has that part of that DBI index, they're giving them a score on how easy they calve.
Yeah, putting too much reference on
Yeah, and that takes away most of the benefit or the look at what he'll actually do as a beef animal.
Although on the dairy side, what we're trying to do now encourages the dairy farmer to use, that he uses these bulls that are still easy calving and that they are short gestation length, but also have a good beef figure. So when it comes to selling them calves, that they'll find it easier to move them on. So the fellow who's buying them, he's the chance of sort of making a bit of a profit on them.
Well,
So I
that's
know
more
dairy
emphasis
ain't
on
going to buy into it or not, but that's what they're trying to encourage. Okay?
I'd say they're still focused on getting the cow calves, and
So milk is the number one.
they're not
there,
worried
isn't
about
it?
the calf
Yeah.
value after that.
That's the problem with it, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
But don't think if they can't get rid of them calves next spring, that could be an issue too, lads. So when you're going to go back to the guy where you got the best calves from,
Oh yeah,
based on your
that
performance.
HCB, his calves, now there was 10 cattle sired to him that we had. The average weight of them was 322 kilos. They were all bulls. Versus the next one on the list, LWR, which is 284 kilos. So that's a huge difference. And that, something I found across looking at all my statistics, the more Holstein that's in the animal, the better the weight and the better the price you get at the end.
Think of that there, 40 kilos of difference there nearly, okay? Go at a price there of where you're getting 350, 320 at the moment. That's well over 120, 30 euros per head of a difference. That's the difference of your profit. But the big difference for animal there, and put it across all the animals in this shed.
If you turn back the page,
Sorry, are they bulls now or steers?
they're heifers.
Although that is statistics
Oh,
here.
them figures there, they're all bulls. Yeah.
What age were you killing them at?
The average age is on it there. WLY average age is 24, LWR 23, HCB 24, and KYA 25. All the records are
You're giving them plenty
there.
of time, like.
Sorry?
You're giving them plenty of time for bulls, like.
The problem, as everyone knows, what happened during the spring, everyone got caught. You know, that's why I've said it there on the third page in the 2016 versus 17. You can see on average our age across all went up, and that was because we had a factory procurement officer come in here in November. He says, right, we'll take all your cattle, shook our hands, we thought we were on the pig's back. January came, he told us keep us for January, so we kept them, we started starting to feed them in November for finishing. January come, we'll take 8. A few weeks went by, he was only taking 8, and we had, at that time, we had 170 bulls. And we were like, come on now lad, we need to be shifting more, birthdays are coming up. 1st of February come, 4 bulls. And he started taking bullocks and heifers. 3rd week of February, no bulls. Last week of February, 4 bulls. 1st week of March, no more bulls. And stuck us with 70 bulls.
Are you going away from bulls now?
No.
You think going to stick with
Our plan, what we did with the calves coming forward is we squeezed roughly half. So we've 100 bulls, 100 bullocks. That's roughly, it's to take away, to not have that happening again. Like as it was, we sold 100 cattle, we got on fairly well, but we got stung in the tail end, we had too many bulls. So it's just to limit that from happening again. And something interesting also, and you'll see it on the statistics if you look at the average age of the Jersey, is we had all our jerseys gone by the time we were told no more. They were the first to get fit and the first to go.
They were Jersey Cross.
Jersey Cross, yeah, sorry, Jersey Cross.
There'd be Holstein in a lot of them Jersey
Yeah.
Cross. So they didn't look at the jersey there, but there's a certain amount of Holstein putting a frame on them, which would be very important because you see some of your other jerseys can be very, very small.
Yeah.
So it depends on the cross you have there with it. But on the, you mentioned the bulls and you asked a question about is to go with bulls this year. Generally, and I don't know what you're doing yourself, when the market goes into oversupply, the first thing that gets hit is the dairy bull. Basically don't want it. So look at, you split your differences here, Philip.
Yeah.
You're still not completely, you're going half and half.
Yeah.
So you're hoping by that, look at, you're not oversaturated with bulls. But you are, if you've too much, you're not mercy. The numbers drop in the factories, they're taking anything, and bulls are a great trade because they're getting the weight and all of that.
Yeah.
But when it goes into oversupply, they actually can cost you a lot of money because they're stuck an extra month in the shed to probably have to fill up here, and the cost of feeding that bull is a lot higher than feeding the steer or anything like that. So
Just something as well on, I looked at, our weights did go up because they were older, and I divided the average age back into the weights, and I found that they roughly were doing the same as the previous year. There was no major increase, bar the Jersey did about 0.5 of a kilo a month better than the previous year. So something just, I think I went away from it, the second last page, the genetic evaluation, just to finish up on the Holsteins. I've looked at the bulls that were 100% Holstein, and the weights were higher than that of a bull that was 97 to 75% Holstein, and higher again than a 74 to 50. And I also looked at the Angus, and the Angus, when there were 50 to 40% Holstein in them, they averaged 274 kilos, which is not too bad, whereas 38 to 13% Holstein in them only averaged 247 kilos. So that, what I take away from that, as Devani was saying, the more Holstein in them, the more size you get, more weight you get in them, and the better price you get ultimately at the end.
up to a certain level, it's
Yeah.
you know, don't want too much, but look, if you need, try to get that balance in it.
But anyways, we can go across and look at the bullocks, or go look at the calves on one of our shed setups for doing the calves, feeding calves. So which? Well, sure, we'll go this way. We can look at the bullocks coming back round. Come down the shed. So these are what we call our Midland batch of calves. These have only been in about 2 weeks now. We had them out on the tillage ground grazing down. For whatever reason, we had a lot of grass come up on our tillage ground, and we had them grazing down that, and we put them in. So they're not in that long. They're not the best of cattle. We have our best calves are on out farms. We still have 75 outside. We intend on keeping 50 of them out throughout the winter, not putting them in. Our idea being that we want to put them in about March, April for finishing during the summer, so that we have cash flow during the summer to keep ourselves ticking over. And we'll put in the best of them 50 cattle. And the reason of keeping them out is if you put cattle in the shed, you keep them in the shed, and then you start finishing them, and without letting them out, they go a bit stale of themselves, and you don't just get the same sort of a tribe. So anyways, in this shed, it's mostly Friesian cross and Jersey cross. There is a handful of Ayrshires, Norwegian Reds, Herefords, Sementals. Generally speaking, on the farm we have every sort of a breed. As I said before, we buy off 10 different farms, and it's whatever they have, we take. And we do it. I know some people say, would you not be better picking them and taking the best of them and not taking them all? When you pick and take the best, you're going to end up having to pay the extra bit. And we like to go in and take everything. We get everything at a price, and the price is always in our favour because we take everything. And because we work on averages on the farm, working on the average price of the calf, the average amount of milk they drink, the average amount of everything they eat, and the average price we get to work out how we're getting on. It's not like if you were to look at some of the cattle, you'd say, well, you'd be better off buying him over the next because he's going to leave more than the other. For us, it's all about averages. Just to give you an example, the first year we reared calves, or we finished cattle of dairy calves, we had a Jersey bull and an Angus bull. The Jersey bull we paid €20 for. Now this is back, we killed them in 2016 and we got €4 a kilo for them. So back when things weren't too bad. The Jersey bull cost €20, the Angus bull cost €300. The Jersey bull came into 1,100 and I think €98. The Angus bull came into 1,300, just over 1,300. And we had more money off the Jersey than the Angus, purely because we paid less for the Jersey. And that's why we take a mix. It's also, it helps, we don't just take Friesians and Jerseys. I'd say they are bread and buttered outfit. The reason we don't take just them, even though I'd say we probably make the most money on them, is when you're dealing with the factory, you need something he wants to sell everything else you have. That's why we buy the Angus, that's why we buy the Herefords and the Sementals, and we paid a bit more for them to have a mix, so we were able to sell a package deal, so to speak. So that's the story with them. There's a mixture of bulls and bullocks in the shed. As we go through the process of getting cows out of the shed when they're being weaned and that, our plan after what happened last year, or well, this year really, with the bulls being a bad trade and that, we decided we're going to, before this we'd squeezed a few, but we never squeezed a considerable amount of Friesians. And we decided we're going to have to do something. So what we did was we sat down and we looked at the birthdays, and we squeezed according to birthdays, so that we never had more than, I think, 10 bulls going over age in the 1 week. So that in 1 week we had to ship a certain amount of cattle, so we weren't caught with a big amount of bulls going over age to 1 week to try and ship. And that's how we did squeeze it. When we go to let them out, which will be as soon as possible, we'll divvy them up then into their batches. There'll be one batch of bulls that will be kept on this farm, and the rest will be divvied out in tout farms.
Just on letting them out, what's the date are we looking at?
Last year, we let the first cattle out the 28th of December. But that was due to the weather being grand, and we had a great mild winter and ground was good. We had the first cattle out by then, and we had the last of them out by the middle of February. So depending on what the weather conditions are like, what the ground conditions are like, and what grass is out there, will depend on when we let them out. as it stands with the grass, we finished, right now. We started finishing closing paddocks around the 1st of October, maybe a bit before that. That's what they were doing. They were in 2 batches and they grazed their way back up to the yard. And we dosed them, we let them out into the tillage ground and then they went in. So we have paddocks that have been closed now from October, so they should be ready by the 1st of February. They should have adequate amount of grass, provided the winter isn't too wet, because all our bottoms is liable to flood. And at its worst, we could have 40 acres underwater. So it all depends on what the weather does. But that is the plan with them. I suppose then just on, this is one of our calf rearing sheds. So you can see the socket there. That's where we plug in our feeder. And we have 4 stations pointing that way in the shed. It's something we have to do for next year, and we found in another shed. In the other shed, we turned one of the feeders to the side and we set up a training pen. So when a batch of calves come in, we unloaded the calves into that pen and we trained them onto the feeder. It was only a small area, but it meant that the calves were that bit closer to the feeder and they learned how to use it. Say the bloody thing right. We found that training the calves that way was better for us. We had less pets, was what we call them, calves that religiously you have to go twice a day into the shed to put them into the machine. With a lot more pets in this shed, because we didn't have a training pen, and we found another shed having a training pen where you kept them in a small area with one feeder until you had all the calves in that pen feeding before we let them into the rest of the shed. And we just left the gate open then when there was no calves in there to give them the most space possible. Some people say, you know, you should divide up the pens and have a station to 25 calves or that in the one pen, makes them easier to find than that. It is a bit of a problem when you find such and such a calf and you look into the shed and there's 164 calves in the shed and you gotta find one calf. It can take a bit of time, but normally if it's a calf you need to find, normally it's an obvious calf that needs to be seen to anyways. Another thing then, something that we've done the last 2 years, you can see the door in the shed there. We designed this shed, relatively speaking, with rearing calves in mind. It's not ideal. For the perfect calf shed, you want to have slopes and you want to have drainage and pig slats and you want to have your stations on pig slats and take all the liquid out of the shed. But we designed this with dual purpose in mind. But anyways, the door in the shed, once the weather settles down in April, May, we open that door and we let the calves out into the paddock behind the shed while they're still in the feeder on milk. And we found since we started doing that, we're weaning the calves that they can get grass, come back in, get their milk, get their meal and go back out to grass grazing away. We found that we've had no calves that have been weaned and put out to grass that has to come back in and get milk. The last 2 years that hasn't been an issue for us. Before that it was, where on the bucket system where you had your pen of 6 calves and you weaned them in the shed and then you brought them out to grass, and if you put 10 out you probably had to bring 2 back in to get a bit of milk. They started failing. Ever since we've been getting the calves out and grass and milk and weaned off the feeder while on grass, no issues at all, and our calves have been the better off. Something, I suppose, while we're looking at the calf shed, I have, where is it now? The third last page, it's titled 2019 Calves Sickness Rates and Deaths. I shouldn't have followed this up, but you can see it there. It's just a bit of information on the calves that we reared on the feeders. So, just on it, on the 2 feeders we reared a total of 347 calves. One feeder at the other end of the yard reared 184, but they weren't all on the feeder at the one time. We started off, we filled that feeder first, then we filled this feeder, then we had calves ready to come off that feeder, we took them off and we put more calves on it. We also reared about 60 calves on buckets on top of that as well. And you can see there the number of deaths, the percentage of the total that died. So we lost 9% of the calves on the feeder. And that is high. I'm not going to lie about it. It's not something we wanted. Our biggest problem on this farm is calf mortality, trying to keep it down. And it is high. One of the reasons for that, you can see the farms A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. Farm F has the highest mortality rate of all the calves we buy, and then all his calves are on that feeder. And that's why that feeder 1 has a high mortality rate, a high number of deaths, a high rate of sickness, because of them calves. It's just one farm we buy off. For whatever reason, the quality calf just is not there. So, other things on that then, we found that the Jersey cross had the lowest sickness rate. So you can see there's sick 1, sick 2, sick 3, sick 4, plus that's the percentage of the number of calves that got sick. So percentage something, whether it be bloat, twisted gut, pneumonia, chill, that I had to go and treat. That's a percentage of calves that had a problem. And then sick 2, sick 3 was how many times they got sick after that. We have the cause of death at the bottom. So you can see pneumonia by far is the biggest problem on this farm. We have struggled in the past with trying to keep it under control. We are much better than previous years. We've run a very tight vaccination program on our biggest problem is pastural and pneumonia. So when the calves come in, we put them into our training pen, give them a day or two, and then we vaccinate them. We don't vaccinate them then out of the trailer because, now if I can get it right, it's something to do with antibodies that the calf, because the calf is in stress and transported, it leaves the vaccine less effective. So you do it when the calf is settled down. And then we do that, it's the only vaccine we give them. Well, we give them black leg as well when they're going out and on theirs, when they're all them calves will get black leg before they go out to grass this year as well. But in terms of calves in the shed, it's the only vaccine we give them. It's the only problem we have. Scour has never been a problem here. But if we do have calves that show signs of a scour, whether it be a blood scour or just a general scour, we will go with Vacoxin and we will treat them with Bemis after that. Something else that we do with the calves, we always find that calves that come off dairy farms are usually fed cow's milk, and we're putting them on milk replacer. And to get them to transition, we normally find that they tend to scour when we're transitioning them onto milk replacer. We add an ingredient called Biolase from Mayo Healthcare, and we find that that significantly reduces the scour of the calves. That's really it. I don't think I've much else today. Questions or anything? So.
Can you bring in the calves, Philip, after transporting them over? Can you put them on like anything like that, dehydration or straight onto
No, straight onto the machine, and the machine takes care of the rest. We mix the Biolase into the milk replacer to make sure. Now you can buy the feeders with additive hoppers, and you could put your Biolase or whatever else you want, and it'll only feed the calves that you select to be fed, and it'll be I suppose a much more efficient way of doing it, but we don't have them options, so we blanket dose all the calves. It's an organic material, it's not something that has to be recorded or anything. Something else then, on our sickness rate, it is high, where we want to try and get that lower. We used seaweed additive on the calves we reared on buckets. It's Silage, it is Silage, yeah. I can't think of the name, but it's just flake or milled seaweed. And we use it on the calves we reared on buckets. And the calves that we reared on buckets, I think one calf we had to inject. Out of 60 calves, we had no problems. So something we're going to do for next year is every calf, all the feeders, we'll be adding seaweed into to try and see can we bring down the rate of sickness to try and reduce the amount of antibiotics we have to use.
Just the only comment I'd make is, and I'll highlight it again in the figures, buying in good healthy calves over you get hugely important when you're at this job. You take in a batch of sick calves and sure it spreads through the shed, and you see one particular farm, you see it on the sheet, the mortality rate is very, very high. So look, if you don't know, again, which colostrum calves got or what they're taking care of. So to me, obviously you probably won't be dealing with that farmer next year.
The problem we have with that farm is it's one of our biggest contracting customers. So yeah, for the sake of the few calves, what do you do? You know, yeah, it's all the farms we buy off are farmers that we work for and we do work for. and we, generally speaking, we know where all the calves come from, we know the cows, and one of the things, in my view, if you're going to rear calves, you want to let whoever you want to get them off know, I'll take your calf, so that farmer has a peace of mind. He knows where his calves go on, and he might then look after his calves better, because he knows that if you go on well with them calves, you'll be back the next year, the year after, to take them calves, and that solves the problem for the dairy farm. As it stands, we've already had 2 dairy farmers ring us up to see, are we taking calves? Not are we buying calves, are we taking calves? They just want the peace of mind to know that they have somewhere to go with.
What breed was that you were saying that they were taking?
Sorry?
It was Jersey Cross. Is that the breed that you were looking for?
Taken Jerseys, Friesians, Friesian Cross, and we said that we want to make the deal a bit sweeter. We want Angus and Herefords on top of that at the right price.
What age do you take?
Roughly speaking, there'll be 3 weeks old to 6 weeks old. It's really, a farmer gets a batch of calves ready, that we go and pick up a batch of calves. Because we pick up calves in most, we need to have enough there to make it worthwhile going down to get, not to be running up and down the road every other day. So, any questions or anything? We used to, because we're kind of at full capacity with our sheds. We haven't done the last 2 years, and we probably won't be, well, we aren't this year, and unless we get the sheds built, we just not in a position to rear calves. We're not. So, that's it, then we can move on. Never. This is the holiday.
I figured that bit.
So, we don't want anyone going behind the store. As you can see, that tree there is dead. It's an ash tree that died of ash dieback, and it's not a safe place to go, so please avoid going down there. So, this here is our umbilical tractor. That tractor has 26,000 hours on the clock. The tyres that's on it's 850s on the front and 1010s on the back, are 47 inches. The back tyres are a Russian tyre. We bought them out of England. They were previously working on a bog. We bought them second hand. The front tyres are new. It's a Mastec 10-metre dribble bar system. We have enough pipe on that to go 1,300 metres. We have a trail reeler out the back. That'll bring us another nearly 2 kilometres of pipeline. And that's what we spend most of our time doing. So, yeah, and we have some more of our contracting fleet here. So, as it stands, we have 3 6290s. One of them, if you were watching my videos, know where that is. So now everyone, that is the end of the video. I'm quite hoarse now. The battery did die in this, I probably will die again. But I should have done it earlier when there was more people here, but just have the last few people here chatting away, and had the teas and coffees. And just for anyone that came and I didn't get to say, I forgot to mention it, the beef sandwiches that were there, you may have guessed, was our own beef out of what I would have called a P equals 1 equals Frisian bull. A lad now that you wouldn't give to a factory because they just dump it. But anyways, that's it. That's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Now I am sorry that I didn't get. So anyways, the battery's just after dying there, so we're just finished up now. So as I was saying, hope you enjoyed the video. Sorry that it wasn't all recorded. Battery died twice, but look, it is what it is. Big thanks to my mother and everyone at the family for giving us a hand doing all the cakes and that. You can see there, it was a great day. I think we had a good time now, and I think everyone had a good time. So, anyways, I'll leave it at that and stop ranting on about shite. But I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, caps, you know where to get them. ebay.com, in the description down below. Everything else you need to know is in the description down below. Snapchat, Instagram, all of that. But anyways, I'm going to leave it at that, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe to my channel. So now everyone, so this is just Sunday evening. I just after finishing up the jobs on the farm, and I watched back the videos last night, especially the end bit I did. I just felt like I didn't do enough. I had a bit more to say as well that I've found out after, so I just said I'd come back in and just refinish the video. I might use some of the footage from before. Look, I don't know what way I'm putting this together, but something just on something that was asked previously on that leaflet I handed out yesterday or on the farm walk. Would I be able to put it up for everyone to see? I was trying to think about what's the best way of putting it up, and I think maybe the best thing I can do is just make a video on going through the leaflet. I think that'll probably be the best, but let me know what you think. If you want me just to bang it up on some website that you can download it and look at yourselves, or do you want me to do a video to explain it, because there is a lot of tables and that in it that does need some explaining. But anyways, so that bit. Also, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that turned out. I was a huge crowd, like it was 70 to 80 people roughly is what we had. A huge turnout. I was very happy with how the day went. I couldn't think it went any better. Extremely happy. I hope everyone that came was happy with how the day went. I hope you learned something, or I kept it interesting and didn't go ranting on too long about different things. But look, please also let me know if there's anything that you would have liked to have seen, or anything you think I could have done better, or anything like that. Please let me know, because for the next time I want to have it that bit better. So please, if you were at the farm walk, if there's anything you think I could have done better or to make the day more enjoyable, please hit me down below so that I can make it more enjoyable for the next time, which I'll talk about at the end. So also just something else I wanted to show. I don't know how well you can see it there. Now I know my brother put the subscribe to Farmer Phil, but other people put let's get to 100,000 and 100,000 Johnny Con. I'm sorry, I just can't really read Con Curfy. I can't just read that, but thanks for putting that little message there. I got a good little smile out of it when I seen it, a bit of a giggle, but just thanks for that. Now I am holding the camera, my hands are probably a bit shaky, but what else was there? So yeah, so one thing that also, yeah. So I am sorry for anyone that came and I didn't get speaking to, or you want to take a phone, I just didn't get to take a phone. I'm very, very sorry about that. I was hoping to get around and get talking to everyone before everyone left, but just the way things panned out, I just didn't. But I am very sorry about that. That's probably the one thing, if I could have changed, I would have tried to make sure I got around to see and talk to everyone that came. So look, it is what it is. So I think on the last thing I'm going to say now in this video is, when we got back into the house last night, we just sat down and we summarised the day, I suppose is the best way of putting it, and we were just looking, you know, did we have a good time? Everyone have a good time? Everyone had a good time. And my father thoroughly enjoyed himself. He had a great time talking to people that were here and talking about some of his vintage machinery, and he had the whole family had a very enjoyable day, and we had a great crowd. Like you couldn't have hosted a greater crowd of people. Not number wise, but as in just in general, just such nice people. Like we had literally no rubbish around the place, or there was no messing or anything. Just the nicest crowd of people you could host. So anyways, something that my father was saying now, just to give a bit of a context for the whole week that this was coming on. Now he greenlit it when I got asked earlier. That's a while ago now, when I got asked whether we host an event, and he greenlit. He said that's fine. But the week in the run up to this, we shouldn't really be doing this, and he just wasn't over happy, and there was a lot of work to do, and he just wasn't happy and thought people would be criticising the place, and he wasn't over happy with the idea the closer we got to it. But after the day was done, and he was just that happy and talking to people and all of that, he was just in that much of a buzz that the table, he says we should make an event out of this. Well, he says a biannual, so every 2 years, but I'll work my way around them hopefully, and we'll make it an annual event of some description. Now, look, don't hold me to when will it be next year or anything like that. We'll have to discuss it more in depth. But I'd imagine if it is something that we're going to do, which is extremely likely after the lovely day we had, lovely people that we had here showing around the farm, honest to God, couldn't have went better. We're very happy with how it all went. So it is something that we will do again, and hopefully now next year, and by what my father was saying, probably around the same time of the year again, so towards the end of the year in November, when we do have a bit of time to spruce up the place. And maybe next time we might have our machinery washed, and we might have that dirty secret out and about with other tractors and all the rest, and maybe there might be a new one lurking about now. There might be something in the works, but it's early days at the minute. But look, I don't think I've anything else to say, but look, we had a fantastic day. Honest to God, just had such a great day, the whole family. Massive thanks for everyone that came, and just a massive thanks to everyone. I am sorry I didn't get to go around to everyone, but look, we just had a brilliant day. That is it for today's video. There's a good video coming for Thursday. My father's greenlit to do it. Hopefully my uncle will be there as well. We'll just have to wait and see. But Thursday's video, all going well, is going to be a good one. So I'm going to leave it at that for today. Hope you enjoyed this video. That is it for me. Good luck.